To multiply or divide rational expressions, which we're going to start off with dividing, is simply factoring and then simplifying. So we've already done simplifying. So I'm going to factor the 6 as 2 times 3, and then the c, and the 15 is 3 times 5, c, and 2 d's. That's my numerator. My denominator, I have 5d, and I have 2 times 2 times 2, which is what 8 is, and a. Now all we're doing is looking at common factors on top and bottom and canceling them out. So I have this 2 that cancels with this 2. I have this 5 that cancels with this 5, this d with d. It doesn't matter which d, a, b, or c, as long as it's the same. So I have a 2, and an a. I have a 3c, 3, and another c. None of those cancel with anything top and bottom. So then my answer then becomes putting those together. 3c squared. Oh, my fault, not 3c squared. I forgot to multiply. It's 3 times 3, which is 9c squared. 2 times 2 is 4a. And so my answer, multiplied and simplified, is 9c squared over 4a. To do these problems, there are a lot of quick and shorter ways. I'm just going through what we've done before. So this problem, which is a division problem, we're going to do exactly before, but what division means to keep, change this, and then flip this. So I'm going to factor by doing that. So 12 is 2 times 2 times 3, and I'm just going to leave the x4 and the y squared. And now I'm going to flip this. So 16 is what I'm going to put on top. So that's a 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and a squared and an x. So there's my numerator. And then if I do my denominator, 40 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, and my a4 I'm going to leave, and b4 I'm going to leave for now, and 6 now becomes in the denominator because I flipped it, so that's 2 times 3 x squared y4. So all I'm going to do now is start canceling out numbers that are the same and letters. So this 2 and this 2, 2 and 2, this 2 and a 2, this 3 and this 3. I have this 2 and this 2, so I have 2 more 2's and nothing else. So my numbers are now, so now I'm going to look at letters. So I have 4 x's on top, that's what this means, 4, and I have 2 down here, so I have 2 left over. So I'm going to write this as a 2 and cancel this one. I'm going to look at, I have 2 y's, and I have 4 down here, so I'm going to cancel these 2 and make this 2 y's. Then I look at my a's, I have 4 down here and 2 up here, cancel the 2 out, I'm left with 2, and there's no b's on the top. So now what's left over, if I look at the problem, I have a 2 times a 2, which is 4. I have 2x and 1 over here, which makes it 3, and I think that's everything on the numerator. In the denominator, I have a 5, and I also have 2 a's, 4 b's, and 2 y's. 2 a's, 4 b's, and 2 y's. Alright, to simplify, which basically means we're going to multiply, I have to have factors. Now these are not as easy to factor as the ones we just had. I just did factor trees. But we still can factor them. X squared minus 6x minus 16 can be factored to x minus 8 and x plus 2. So it's two numbers that give me negative 16 and add up to a negative 6. And then x minus 8 is already factored on the other side. Multiplication just means putting them together. So I'm going to factor my denominator. That's x minus 8, x minus 8. Because negative 8 times negative 8 gives me positive 64 and adds up to negative 16. Then I factor my other problem, what two numbers multiplied to give me 6 and add up to 5. That's an x plus 3 and an x plus 2. So now once I have it all factored, I'm doing the same thing as I did before, so I'm going to cancel out those that are exactly alike. X minus 8, x minus 8, x minus 8, x minus 8, x plus 2, x plus 2. Now in this scenario, everything on top cancels, so that means we have a 1 left over, because there's an invisible 1 in all these problems. And so we have an x plus 3 on the bottom. So our answer ends up as 1 over x plus 3. And because we have a denominator with variables, we need to also write that x cannot be 3. And so here is our answer. Alright, division is not any different except we're going to flip it. So I'm going to go ahead and just do the flipping part. So x squared minus 16 over 12y plus 36. And I'm going to change the multiplication. And I'm going to flip the y squared minus 3y minus 18. And I'm going to x squared minus 12x plus 32. Now this problem looks just like the one previously. So let's go through and factor. This part factors as a perfect difference of squares. This part is what two numbers give me a negative 18 and add up to a negative 3. And they happen to be negative 6 and a positive 3. That's my numerator. Denominator, this one is a greatest common factor, which is 12, which gives me y plus 3. And then this one is a trinomial, so I'm looking for two numbers that give me 32 and add up to negative 12. And they happen to be x minus 8 and x minus 4. Once I have it factored, I'm going to go through the same process of canceling out the exact same things, top and bottom. X minus 4 cancels with x minus 4. Y minus 3 cancels with y minus 3. And nothing else will cancel, so what we're left with is our answer, and knowing that x cannot be 8. So our answer, so basically here's our answer factored. So multiplying and dividing is all basically simplifying, and simplifying is just another way of saying factoring. And so that is all there is to these problems. Okay, here's the most complex problem. It's only complex because how it looks. So we're going to change this to something that's familiar. And this is what this problem would look better as if I were to take the numerator. That's the numerator. That's a division line. So I'm going to write division. A squared plus b squared over 4. That's what I'm dividing by. Now it looks somewhat familiar. So now I can do my keep, change, and flip. So this becomes a plus b over 4, and I'm multiplying now, and I'm flipping. A squared plus b squared. Now once I have done this, I'm now simplifying or factoring. Neither one of these can be factored, but I do have things like on top and bottom. And if you look, I have a 4 here and a 4 here. So I'm canceling. But here's the biggest mistake. You cannot cancel this with this because these are not factors. They're being added. And this can't be factored, and neither can this problem. So our answer ends up being a plus b over a squared plus b squared. Keep in mind, the only thing that will never be canceled is if it's in parentheses and it's identical. A plus b and a squared plus b squared are not the same, and they're not factors. So this ends up being our answer.